I don't have an intro for this one because I don't know how to feel. So, hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So as you guys probably know by now, if you've been watching my series reviewing Avatar: The Last Airbender Live Action on Netflix, my sister and I binged. It's the 23rd of February. It just dropped yesterday, so I am reviewing these as soon as it came out. I just may not be releasing them that quickly. But anyways, we binged episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6 in one day, so I took notes on my computer so I could keep my thoughts straight, and I'm reviewing all of them at once. It's a lot of talking, but here we go. So today I'm going to be reviewing episode 5, which is called Spirited Away, so let's get into this. So honestly, this episode was really weird for me. Like, I liked it, but it's different. So I kind of like have this weird, I'm not sure how to feel about it even now. I'll probably get more thoughts the longer I have away from it and the more I have to think about it. So the opening fight with the Fire Nation soldiers would have been perfect for Jet and the Freedom Fighter. So if you guys have been watching my reviews of the last few episodes, I've been talking about how they did not have enough screen time, and Sokka and Aang didn't have time to meet them. We didn't have time to really get to know them very well. The fight scene wasn't long between Jet and Katara, and I didn't get that betrayal feeling from her like we did in the original. And then Sokka had kind of a good arc in this one, and Aang had this really cool fight scene with Jet, and they all felt betrayed by him. And they didn't have enough screen time because they tried to throw it in episode 3 and then just resolve it really quickly at the beginning of episode 4 and then move on. So this episode is the episode where they would have had perfect time to do that. So let me talk about other things. We'll get on to that in a bit. So the burned village and the burned forest, and the village they came to was really good. It looked perfect. Like, it looks like it's just straight out of the animation. Aang meditating into the spirit world was really good. So here's where it gets weird. Sokka and Katara go with him. And I was just like so confused as to why. And they kind of like throw it as, oh, maybe my power, and the veil's so thin here. And it's like, okay, I don't know. That's where I get weird. I don't know what to think about that. They included the owl, which he's supposed to be the guardian of the library in the middle of a desert in the Earth Kingdom. And that's in season 2. And that is a huge plot point because they go there to seek out the information and the timing of when Soza's comet is coming, which I know that they've cut the timing of the comet simply because the actors, by the time season 1 has just now come out, it's already been 3 years since they first started filming. And so they're much older, and they're not going to be able to portray characters of the same age. So it can't take place over the course of a summer. They're going to have to do a time jump. So, it's a little weird. But I don't know why they included the owl. He looked wonderful. He sounded perfect. And he looked perfect. I also loved Ko, and he looked so creepy. Like, in the animation, he's creepy, but it's like animated, so it doesn't scare me. But in this one, it's nice and freaky. And I love that because that has always been the spirit Ko, what he's supposed to be and look like. Heibai also looked fantastic. Like, the creatures, they are nailing them. The ostrich horses look great. Later on, we get to meet, was it Nala? The Shirsu, I think, is what it's called. Like, Appa, Momo looks adorable. Like, I haven't talked about this, but the creatures in this thing look fantastic, just like the world, and the costumes look amazing. So here's the thing. They get to the spirit world. There's a conversation with the owl. Sokka and Katara can't understand it. And then they get separated, and they all it's kind of like they took aspects from the swamp episode, which was again in season 2, where they go to the swamp, they get split up, and they all hallucinate different things and see different things. And Katara and Sokka both hallucinate these things that have to do with releasing this truth that they didn't know about themselves. And they spent way too much time with that. Like, I enjoyed it because it has to do with their characters, but I also kind of got bored. It wasn't really boring. It was just slow, and it wasn't necessary to me. I didn't like Hakoda. They didn't really choose a good actor for Hakoda. I love Hakoda, who is Sokka and Aang's, Sokka and Katara's dad. We don't get to see him, I think, until season 2 in the original, but we got to see him in Sokka's flashback, and I'm not really overly fond of his appearance, but that's just because I think Hakoda is, like, really, really good looking in the original, but moving on. So that, I'm not subtracting a point because that's just me being picky. Anyways, they spent too much time with the Sokka and Katara hallucinations, so here's what my thought is. You could have taken out those hallucinations and taken out some of the time that we spent so much time in the spirit world in this episode. That could have been taken away, and instead we have Jet and the Freedom Fighters come in and save them in the beginning when they fight with the Fire Nation soldiers. And then you could insert the Jet Freedom Fighter arc, which in the original episodes are only about 20 minutes long. These episodes on Netflix are like 40 minutes to an hour long, so you have time to have included Jet, the Freedom Fighters in the beginning, do that, resolve that, do this little a duel between Aang and Jet, like, keep it mostly intact from the original, give us more screen time so that Aang and Sokka can also meet Jet and the Freedom Fighters, get to know them, have their arcs, everybody gets their character development. Then we move on to the village, and Aang goes to the spirit world, and yeah, I could see even Sokka and Katara being thrown in there, and they still get in trouble with Ko, but there's no hallucinations, which weren't necessary anyway. The timing would have worked so much better. So yeah, and it could make sense. It could have worked. So I don't know how to feel about this episode. Basically Katara and Sokka get in trouble by Ko, and Aang has to free them, and he's talked to by Ko, and I can't remember who tells him, but he needs to go see Roku to find out how to free them, I think. Somebody mentions that Roku was the only one to have faced Ko or takes away something from Ko. The Ko was fantastic. Like, I can't over that. Sokka did actually see a fox, and she sounds like Yue. And given his romance with Suki, I'm not sure how they're going to do Yue, and so I'm calling it right now that I think the fox may have been Yue. Keep in mind, I haven't seen episodes 7 and 8 yet, so this is just me predicting, so we'll see. Replay this later whether I'm right or wrong. But I think they're going to do where Yue can access the spirit world, and so that was somehow Yue getting to meet Sokka because it sounded like her, and they had kind of a dynamic that I feel like is very Sokka and Yue-like, but I don't know. I had no idea what the fox significant is. I'm going to be surprised if it's not Yue. So that's just my prediction right now. But overall, I don't know how to feel about this episode, Spirited Away, episode 5. I want to say 4 stars, but the pacing and how they easily could have cut the Sokka, Katara hallucinations and added Jet and the Freedom Fighters in the beginning of this episode and made it work. Heck, you could have even had him be in Omashu for a short time and had them meet then, and then still do Jet Freedom Fighter stuff in this episode. Like, it would have worked. But the fact that that could have been fixed and I found a way to fix it, you know, the writers who were doing the show could have, makes me want to say 3 stars. But it was still kind of a decent episode, and everything looked so good, and the creatures looked so good. So I'm kind of like 3 to 4 stars, so I have to settle for 3.5 stars for this one, just because it's so confusing for me how to feel about it. So those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. And as I said last episode, I really want to know, like, what you guys think if you're fans of the original, but I also really want to know, those of you who have never seen the original, so you're coming at this new, do you think the pacing is good or not? Like, are you feeling like something's weird or messed up, or are you really enjoying it and it's just us because we're comparing it to the original? Like, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. And in the meantime, if you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And in the meantime, if you liked my review of this episode, episode 5, Spirited Away, then check out and stay tuned for my review of the next episode, which is episode 6, called Masks. It'll be here on the screen, either as a preview until next week, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. I have a lot of thoughts.